And welcome back to another episode of PWT Talks NXT here on the PWTorch Daily Cast on YouTube if you're watching us live, or on the Daily Cast podcast feed if you're watching or listening on a delay. I'm Nate Lindberg. You can check the things I do out at natelindberg.com. We're here talking NXT for March 18th, 2025. Show that brought us about 46 minutes of wrestling or so, give or take. On a it was an okay show. I'm not super I'm not super high on it like I was last week, but I think this was a show where we're doing a little bit of resetting and kind of doing a bit more storytelling here, and kind of setting up some bigger things. So not every show is going to feel as big as the last, but we'll get into all of that in a little bit. Here with me to talk all about NXT, Jobin. Thanks for joining again, man.
Absolutely. I mean, 2 weeks in a row doesn't happen too much, so it's nice to be back. Like you said, not as exciting of a night tonight, but hard to follow up as strong of a show as they had last week.
Indeed. BJF in the chat starting off. I didn't think we'd hear a Major Guns from WCW Misfits in action in reference tonight on NXT. You know what? Neither did I. CJ saying hello to CJ in the chat.
Hey,
If you guys would like to join us tonight here on the show, we're doing something a little bit different. In the description of the YouTube, video, or the YouTube stream rather, you'll find a StreamYard link. If you want to, just click on that, and you'll pop up in the bottom of my screen here. And if once we get a moment and I find a good spot to click on you and add you into the show, I will, and we'll talk just like the old days when we were on Blog Talk and you have to call us in, and back in those days, felt like it
like last year.
Yeah, the old days.
Yeah, like, the olden times.
Like 6 months ago or something like that. However long ago it was. I think it's been longer than that, but that's fine. That's fine. All right, so let's and we get CJ right off the bat. So CJ, we're gonna talk main event first, then we'll go to you. That said, let's talk main event. Main event was Trick Williams versus Eddie Thorpe in the NXT Underground. We saw Trick Williams go over 3 minutes and 57 seconds, and then that kind of devolved into this whole big kind of I'm going to call it a kerfuffle. Let's call it a kerfuffle. I like that word for tonight. Obafemi, Trick Williams, the two of them kind of stood toe to toe. Javon Evans come out, and he tries to get involved in the attack between Obafemi and Trick Williams. Trick Williams kept just throwing him aside, like, you're not an actual threat. Which is something that he had told him earlier in the night, that he's never going to be a champion, he's never going to make it and be anything in the company. So that's kind of where that was. He ended up getting, like I said, thrown aside from Trick Williams, and then the what were they calling them again? The Dark State. We were talking about this before we went on air. We're gonna keep calling them like the Deep State or something. I don't know.
A fatal attraction, fatal influence kind of situation, I think.
Yeah, right. Yeah, something like that. But we saw I just did it right there. Dark State come out and attack, and kind of, like I said, just kind of devolve into this kind of craziness to end the show. I don't know, a few things here for me. First is, Eddie Thorpe. I mean, Trick Williams definitely was the one that needed the win here and everything. We've been talking on the show a lot about Trick Williams not being very prominent on the show lately, kind of in the background and trying to build his way back up to the NXT title at some point in the near future here. So Trick really needed this, but at the same time, Eddie Thorpe really needs a solid win. So I didn't think Eddie was going to get the win here, but I'm just kind of like trying to think, and figure out where they're going with Eddie from here. Why should we believe that he is still credible? he talks the talk, but when it comes time to actually get in the ring and do the business, he ain't doing it. So there's that. Let me throw over to you, Jobin. What did you think of this? And do you think that Eddie Thorpe is kind of still in that? Uh, is he still a credible threat for whoever the NXT champion is?
I mean, it's not really feeling like it because like they gave him some wins and then just mostly have been feeding him losses that aren't really doing anything for either side. Like, yeah, the Trick win kind of helps Trick a little bit and look a little more threatening to go back against Oba, but not that much. Like, we know Trick's good at this point. Like, yeah, he's lost, but he usually loses in a dumb way. Like, like he lost it to Ethan Page by passing out. Like all these different little things keep happening to him. So I'm not sure where they're really trying to go with it. I think tonight, like, yeah, it was fine. The main event was the segment at the end. It wasn't really like the main event wasn't really this match.
Yeah. No, they're very, very true. Very true. Good fellow in the chat. And a match Eddie has thrived in and punked him out in 5 minutes was a tough call. Did any match run long to cut it short? Our longest match tonight was Ricky Saints versus Ridge Holland, 12 minutes, 28 seconds. D'Angelo family was the only other match that went over 10 minutes. Everything else was 9:48 and under. So I mean, we only had 46 minutes of wrestling on the show tonight. So I mean, I feel like they probably could have found a little bit more time, but what I
They did
found
have
is
a lot of video packages and things that they
true.
needed for setting up storylines and such, which just ate so
Right.
much of the night. That and commercials.
Yeah. And what the heck was I just going to say? No, one other thing that they brought up on commentary was the fact that this was the first NXT Underground match for the men, first men's Underground match in, I think, since 2013, and it featured Eddie Thorpe. It was Eddie Thorpe versus Dijak, if I'm not mistaken, unless there was another one after that. I think it was Eddie Thorpe versus Dijak, and they didn't bring that up. Maybe because they didn't want to bring up Dijak, but you could at least say Eddie Thorpe was in the match. So yeah, I don't know, but there we go. Yeah, we'll see. I think it was Ryan Slario in the chat. Do you think we'll get a triple threat for the NXT Championship and Stand and Deliver? I'm wondering. I feel like Javon Evans is kind of at that point, and where right now we're kind of getting that foreshadowing from Trick Williams saying, "You'll never be champion. You'll never be champion." Well, I don't know. That it seems like a bit of foreshadowing to me. I mean, NXT likes their foreshadowing, because if you didn't see the Dawn getting attacked tonight after they say, "Why don't you stay in the back to be safe?" I can't help you.
Yeah, you hang back here alone by yourself where we could not possibly get to you in time to help you. You'll be fine.
You'll be fine. Yes. If you didn't see that attack coming, I can't help you.
You might not be watching wrestling then.
Yep. Exactly. So, all right, cool. Let's move on here. Let's bring on CJ. CJ did say in the chat didn't watch NXT tonight, but how's it going, man?
Howdy.
I'm pretty good. I want to talk female dream matches, and then I have a question that is not about Bailey, but Kylie Ray, right?
Sorry, no who?
Kylie Ray. Can you hear me well?
Yeah, like Kaylee, like the now.
I thought it was pronounced Kylie Ray. Maybe I'm wrong.
I guess it all depends on who we're talking about, but
I just seen clips. Don't you think her gimmick is too like Hugger Bailey for her ever to bring it to WWE?
Oh, okay. This Kylie Ray. All right. Yes. Didn't she come in? Wasn't she in NXT for a little bit? Or am I thinking?
I think I heard she did the Mae Young Classic years ago, but she was never officially like a WWE talent.
I'm like, I've covered Kylie Ray before, and I've only ever covered NXT. But yes, she was
had
in.
a tryout at some point.
She was
Again, I've only seen clips, but from the clips I see of her entrance and like her happy-go-lucky, it looks very. There's definitely similarities between her and Hugger Bailey.
Yeah, definitely some similarities there. A little bit of similarities. Good fella coming in saying she's in Evolve right now, doing the Evolve show. AEW for a short stint. Yeah, but yeah, she also did do the Mae Young Classic. Which is where I remember her from. Mae Young Classic was the first thing I covered for the Torch, so there we go. But yeah, kind of similar there.
And then, what's your female dream match?
Oof.
You could do active or not active. Mine is semi-active. One's active, one's not.
Hey, well, give me a second to think. What's yours?
Granted, they had an NXT match, but never full roster. AJ Lee versus Bailey.
Oh yeah. There we go. That would be good. That would be pretty good.
Yes.
I
crossing my fingers.
I would like to see. I think I'd like to see Becky versus Trish. If I'm going to like WWE.
Oh, that would be a good one.
That would be pretty sweet.
Or maybe Bailey versus Lita.
That'd be a good one too. That would be a good one too. I know Jobin's has got to involve Alexa Bliss.
Yeah, I'm struggling to pick who my second favorite would be though.
Yeah, we got a few in the chat, or at least one in the chat here. We got Melina versus or Alicia Fox rather. That'd be good.
Melina, was she ever hired for good wrestling? No offense to her, but I think that was still diva tits and ass.
Yeah, they both were a little bit. They could go, but
they're not terrible. But I want to put them on the level as a Bailey or somebody like that. Yeah. Personally, maybe I'm biased.
I don't know. I don't know.
Maybe I'll admit that.
I think mine would have to be because I'm looking. I don't think they've had a match before. It'd be Alexa Bliss and Lita.
I think that would be a potential kicker match.
Yeah, it certainly could be. I think.
Yeah, absolutely. Cool. CJ, anything else for us tonight, man?
I think that's it for the. Actually, let me check real quick. I have a note thing where I keep questions.
No problem.
Oh, I have a good one. What do you think is the biggest what if in pro wrestling history? I have three ideas here. Do you think it is what if WCW won the Monday Night Wars? What if the accident didn't happen to Magnum TA and the NWA never sold to Ted Turner, or do you think it's something completely different?
Oof. I think this is a conversation much larger than an NXT show.
Yeah, sorry.
But yeah.
I didn't mean to get you off topic. I apologize.
Yeah, no, that's all right. That's all right. I think just real quick, I'd say for me, one of my biggest what ifs is if the curtain call never happened. Triple H won King of the Ring, and we never got Austin 316.
That's definitely a good one. That's up there.
Yep, that's one of mine. That's one of mine. So, all right, Jobin, do you got one?
Not off the top of my head, I don't. I don't have quite the extensive wrestling knowledge that Nate does. Like I'm no slouch, but that's probably a question I would need to be prepared to answer.
Yes. I like what BJ just brought up in the chat. BJF brings up bringing it back to NXT. What if Undisputed Era made it to the main roster? That would be a good one. I would have loved to see them actually make it up to the main roster for sure.
That's a good one.
All right.
I enjoyed it. You should do the call-ins more often if it's cool with you and Kelly.
Yeah,
Kinda
I
low.
don't think we're probably not going to do it every week, but it's fun to do it every once in a while.
All right. Have a good night.
All right, guys.
Thanks for calling in.
Thanks, CJ.
You're welcome.
All right. So let's keep moving on here. Again, if you did want to join us here tonight, we get the link in the description here on YouTube. Click on that, and I'll let you join. Like I said, probably not going to do this every single week, but you know what? We used to be a call-in show, and I miss talking to you guys. So I made an executive decision and said, you know what? We're taking calls tonight. All right, so let's see what else we got here on the show. Ricky Saints versus Ridge Holland. We saw Ricky Saints go over 12 minutes 28 seconds. This I don't know. I don't know if I have a lot to really talk about with the match itself. I mean, it was a match that happened between Ricky Saints and Ridge Holland. Jobin put it this way to me before we went on air, and I kind of agree. It was a Ridge Holland match. Yeah. Ricky Saints obviously got his stuff in and kind of showed what I think kind of gave us a little bit more and showed us why he's a bit more of a star than some of the others that might be on the roster right now. But yeah, I mean, I don't have a whole lot to like really talk about with the match. It was the longest match on the card, and it felt like it. That's as far as I'm concerned. Nothing against nothing against them, but I don't know. Ridge Holland, I guess I could just kind of take or leave at this point.
Yeah, and the only thing I would have to say there is like they could have given him somebody else.
Yeah. The only thing I'd really say is just I wish if they were going to have him try to be so dominant, I wish they did give him somebody else. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. It's like I get wanting to give him somebody that isn't a squash match, but it just kind of didn't really have any effect on me personally. It wasn't great. It wasn't terrible. It happened. Ricky won because we all knew Ricky would win.
Yep.
It was okay.
Yeah. All right. Sorry, I'm keeping up with my notes tonight, so I know what we're talking about. Let's go to an email from Kevin Catani. Kevin says, salutations, gents. I hope this email finds you well. Aside from the cluster that ended the show, I liked the show tonight. I think the women's division has some strong stories brewing, and the men's division's also in a solid place. My first question is, does Stephanie hold both belts until Stand and Deliver, or will she drop one to add a storyline leading into the PLE? And if she drops one, presumably the North American title, is Jada the one to beat her, or are we overlooking someone? Ooh, that's a good question. That is a good question. I hope it's Jada. And I think because her match, Jada's upcoming match against her is for the NXT Women's title, not the North American title, right? That's what I thought.
And it's the opener, whereas the Fallon Henley North American Championship is the main event, which seems a little strange, but there is also a little more background with the whole rematch thing, so a little more main event material.
Yep. Yeah, I was getting those. I was actually getting those two confused in my head, but and then I thought I was wrong, so I'm glad I did.
I knew you would. That's why I made sure to really memorize that slide.
But yeah, so I don't know. We'll see. I think I'm trying to get back to Kevin's question here. I don't know, because the plan obviously wasn't. I don't think was for her to hold both belts. Julia, from what I understand, there's a slight visa issue and some slight nagging injury issues working through, which is why she dropped the belt. But so I don't think this was the plan. I could see her holding them until Stand and Deliver. It's only a few weeks away. I don't like to see a hot potatoing with these titles. If they're going to do something like this, Julia's title reign was short enough. So I don't know. I think if they're going to do a title switch, I think do it at Stand and Deliver. We've got a big show coming up. Use it.
It's only a month.
That's how I feel about it. Yeah. And second question, is Ricky Saints going to be the new North American champion before or after Stand and Deliver? I don't think Sean Spears is long for the belt, and I think giving Saints a title early will help build him and the mid card. What say you, you jars of mayonnaise? You bringing it way back, Kevin, way back. If you were here, if you guys are here for the jars of mayo, say something in the comments, because that shows you guys been around for a little while. We back in the day, Tom, Kelly, and I call you guys our jars of mayonnaise. I don't even remember why. But we did. Something came out of Kelly's mouth one day, and that just kind of kept going. Let's see. I could see Ricky say. I like what Kevin's bringing up here with Ricky Saints being potential new North American champion. I would say again, after Stand and Deliver, we're only a few months or a few weeks away from the from the PLE at this point. So I don't really want to see any major title shifts happen right now. I want to see them happen at the pay-per-view or PLE pay-per-view. It's always going to pay-per-view. I'm going to be 80 years old. I'm still calling pay-per-view. They're going to go through 80 like iterations of names at that point. But it's still going to be pay-per-views in my heart. But I think what he said here. Sean Spears Ricky Saints having a title early would help kind of build him in the mid card, and I think it would. I think you can make an argument either way. He doesn't necessarily need one. His career is going to speak for itself, but I think putting a title around his waist in a dominant fashion could certainly help him out. Anything on that on the doctor's email, or shall we bring Sean on?
No, I mostly would largely agree with you on your points. Though I am a little hurt that you don't believe Ty Dillinger can hold that title.
10. Anyway, let's bring on Sean. Sean, how you doing, man?
Nate, it has been way too long, my friend. Way too long.
It has. It's been I feel like months and months and months at this point, which it has. It has.
It has, and it's partly my fault because now at least I don't have to work every Tuesday night like I did for the longest freaking time, and I couldn't ever watch NXT until I went back and watched it, which I did get behind, I will say, which is kind of annoying because I really wanted to get into NXT every week, because when Stephanie came in and Julia came in, and then I knew Ricky was probably going to come in and Jordan was coming in, and I was like, man, I all these big time stars are coming in NXT, and it's going to be so much more fun to keep up with. Not that it wasn't good, but more reason to get in. Jobin, I've never been on with you, man. So how are you doing? Good to talk to you.
Yeah, I think you're muted.
I threw him off, Nate.
You're muted, Jobin, but it's okay.
I sure am. I was just saying it's been a good night. It's always a good night when we get to watch wrestling and then talk about it for a couple of hours.
Absolutely.
Yeah. I guess I'll talk about that first segment really quick because it was just fresh on my mind because it was the one I got to really see a lot of because I was doing different stuff and stuff happening work wise that I didn't anticipate happening, even though I wasn't even there, for crying out loud. Stephanie came out, looked like a star. I thought she should have beaten Julia. I think she's been a little better. Not that Julia hasn't looked good, because I think she has, but Stephanie, I feel more of a connection with her so far since she's come on the NXT roster. I thought she is learning English a little better. I think it's getting better time after time, so that's cool. I didn't like. You have Jordan come out, which I'm like, oh, this is good. This is going to be cool. This is awesome. And then I don't like when Jada kind of comes out, beats her up real quick, right? And Jada's in her face for how long? And Jordan can't recover and can't get involved in it somehow. Like, she can't even say, hey, look what you did. I just, that little logic flaw there really just kind of bothers me, because Jada's just standing there and they're talking for feels like forever. And she didn't beat up Jordan that bad. She ran her into the thing, and then Jordan's like down forever. And I mean, that kind of makes Jordan look weak to me. And that's on booking. That's on the booking. What do you guys think about that? Was I way off base on it?
No, actually, you're not. And that, because you're not really very far off from what I was thinking during that segment. I mean, Jordan Grace was an incredibly dominant TNA Women's Champion. She has been very dominant in any match that I've ever seen her in. We've seen her take like offense much worse than just getting thrown into a barricade, right? And I mean, I think obviously, you know, and I'm gonna become William Regal and try to explain kayfabe here, but I think when you're in street clothes, your hit points go down. So I don't know. I'm trying to explain it. It's the only logic I can come up with.
And she was caught by surprise. So anytime you're caught by surprise in wrestling, the attack does 30 times more damage.
Yes, and if you're attacked by from behind, surprised in street clothes, you're done. So, but no, I mean, you know, so you've got the little bit of logic there, a logic gap there, because I mean, you know, she's clearly somebody that, you know, is going to be able to get back up. She's not like a referee. A referee takes a bump. Okay, they're not an athlete. It's still tough. You got to suspend your disbelief a little bit there. But like, you've got one of the most badass women in wrestling right now who just kind of gets, you know, oh, I got hurt, and then she can't get back up. Like,
to be fair, on social media earlier when she was unboxing those boots, she did need help to stand up.
I didn't see that. So
yeah,
oh wow, okay.
She's wearing those foot and a half platform boots. Yeah, she needed help to actually stand up, so she might not have actually been able to get up.
That's true. Maybe that's what they did on purpose, just for that reason.
Good fella in the chat just brought that up. She had those 8-inch boots on too. So yeah, no, fair. But no, I didn't see that. So that's actually pretty hilarious.
Well, that's the thing too. It wasn't even that Jada was. It was Jada smack talked her for a few minutes first, and then gets up in the ring and talks for like 2-3 full minutes. I'm like, come on,
right?
You just can't, like, I don't care how big her boots are. Like, that's just ridiculous that she's not going to reciprocate in some way at this point in this segment. And it made, like I said, it's not her. It's just the booking of her. It just felt kind of a little ridiculous.
Yeah,
but
she's felt a little kind of in the background to me since she's joined NXT. But I think it's just a matter of time. I think it's just a matter of time.
They've got a lot of storylines going right now. They're trying to get to, you know, the places they need to be for Stand and Deliver. So I'm not surprised. Certain things are just kind of not moving super quick right off the bat.
Yeah,
just a weird time to bring in Ricky Saints and Jordan Grace if you don't. Like, those are people you would think they would want to push faster, and they just don't have the airtime for it.
Mm-hmm. What do you think about, since I haven't seen Jada as much lately as I'd like to, what have you guys thought about her? I've heard a lot of good things from Todd and other people about her progression and kind of where she's gone. And what, you know, talk about what you guys have thought about her, and, you know, what her ceiling, maybe her low point, but what her ceiling could be in NXT and on the main roster. What have you guys thought about her?
As far as I'm concerned, sky's the limit. She understands her character. You know, whether it's on the mic or, you know, in a pre-tape segment or something like that, you can tell that it's her dialed up to 11. You know, that's what everybody always says, the best, you know, what makes the best character. And you kind of tell that it's, you know, at least a character that she can channel and turn up to 11 like that. Her in-ring work has been great too. I mean, you know, if memory serves, when we first saw her, like when she first debuted, it was a little rocky, but then she very quickly started to pick up and become pretty successful in the ring. Successful is not the right word, but that's the word that's coming to my mind right now.
Mm-hmm.
But you know what I'm talking about. So yeah, no, I think I said, I think right now the sky's the limit for her. I could see her becoming, I think, I don't know if I see her becoming NXT Women's Champion, and the only reason I say that is I just don't think there's time for her to do that before she hits the main roster. But that doesn't mean I don't think she couldn't hold the women's title. I just don't think logistically right now with stories and stuff, I could see her going up to main roster within the next 6 months to a year. If she was to hold that title, it'll probably be closer to that 6 month to a year point. But I think, you know, whether she goes to Raw, goes to SmackDown, wherever she goes, I think she's going to slot in and be. She could easily be a pretty dominant force. Jobin, your thoughts?
The thing for me with her, like, absolutely all the points you just made, but she, not only is her ring work, getting to a point where it's really, really good, she really brings her character through in the way she does things in the ring that your really good wrestlers do, and you see it with some people, less with others, where she's got, like, she'll throw them in the corner, she'll hip check them, that little bit of a smirk, like, all of that really is the character bleeding into how she utilizes the move itself. Is a very standard move, throw them in the corner, hip check, but she adds that flair to it that really sells the persona she's trying to portray.
Yeah,
And that's something I really appreciate out of anybody.
Yeah.
I'll tell you one thing. People say, "Oh, you love everything about WWE." No, I don't. I am worried about these women coming on the main roster right now because the women's division is not good on the main roster. Not the talent. The booking is awful right now. I'm worried about Jada and some of these people coming up because the way that look what they're doing to just say for Rhea, for example. Look what they're doing to her right now. She is a star and they're making her look like a dope. And it's just like that's the one thing. Take your time with Jada. Take your time. There's no rush to get up to the main roster right now. I will say that for sure because I wanted Jordan to go right up. No offense, Nate. I know you love NXT and you want to watch NXT, and I mean Jordan is there and it's cool. But I was like, man, just put her up to the main roster. Like, she's such a talented woman. She has the look is fantastic. Everything about her is cool. But I'm like, man, I'm glad she's in NXT right now for a little while because I'm not looking forward. And going to, like you said about Rich Holland, I just don't know why he's even on television. There's nothing there. I know they're trying. They've tried stuff with him to make him feel like a dominant guy, and it's like it's just not working. It's not that I have anything against the guy. I know he accidentally hurt Big E, and we forgave him, and we've all forgiven him for that. It was an unfortunate thing that happened. It was just sad, but
freak accident type of thing.
Yeah, he wanted to come back from it, and I think he's really trying the hardest he can. He's just not a good character. There's just nothing to sink your teeth into with him. He's not good enough in the ring to really make it worthwhile to really watch one of his matches. And for Ricky Saints to get a good win was fine for him. It's cool, but I want Ricky Saints. I want big stuff for him, and I hope, like, I think he could obviously win the NXT championship. The matter is, like, how long do you think it'll take before they get to that point? Should it be a slow burn with them, or would you want them? Because there are a lot of people up there with Trick, and Ethan's going to get up there, and Javon eventually is going to get up there.
Yeah.
So it just depends on what they're thinking for him. So how long do you think it? Do you think it's a year with him too, or do you think it's maybe right after Mania, just start pushing them and see where they go with him there? Or
man, it's I'm saying for Ricky, it's going to be. Oh, wait, did you say North American title or NXT? You said North American title.
No, NXT title.
NXT title.
Yeah.
Oh, it's gonna be at least 4 or 5 years because Obafemi ain't dropping it anytime soon. No. For the NXT title, I think it's going to depend on what they want for Femi with that title.
Yeah.
I want to see him have a long, dominant reign with that title. I think it's deserved, and I think that's what that character needs. I mean, after being the longest reigning North American champion, I can't see him losing his title, within the next 6 months or anything like that. I think he's going to have a pretty long and dominant reign, unless there's some. They can tell me some great story as to why he dropped it. Some interference and it leads to something bigger and better or something like that. But that's kind of where I'm thinking right now. So I'd say, like I said, it's going to depend on what they want with Oba, but I think it's going to be at least 6 months or more before we see Ricky, in that NXT title scene. I could see him getting the North American title much, much sooner than that.
Yeah. Like I said, I'm hoping to start, and that's what I say. I really want to watch NXT every week because I do want to get invested in what they're doing because I think there's a lot of, like I said, so much good talent right now that they
Oh yeah,
have, and I miss you, Nate. I miss
right.
you, bro. I mean, getting to see you, all three of you guys last week was great. That was a great show. I got to watch it all that pretty much live, and that was
We had a good
you
time
saw me in
last week.
chat, but that was fun. That
Yeah.
was a blast. So I think NXT. There's things Shawn Michaels has done that I've seen that and I love Shawn, but there's the booking could be a little iffy. Obviously, I get to listen to Todd, so he tells me about some stuff. Now again, it's one person's opinion. I'm not going to follow one person's opinion. I'm going to follow his and yours and Kevin's and other people's that I trust. But getting to watch every week, I think will help me kind of lean into some of these people a little bit more. So I'm excited about that. That'll be a blast.
Yeah.
So
no, absolutely.
I'm good. It's just good to be on with you guys again. Like it's been, I hope to do it soon. Whenever you guys want to do call in, I'll try to get on as much as I can.
Hey, sounds good, man. Sounds good. No, I think right now NXT's the roster is probably some of the best we've seen in. I didn't expect Sean to just jump off. I was gonna say goodbye. But okay, goodbye, Sean.
Well, goodbye, Sean.
But no, what I was saying was I think NXT's roster is like one of the best that we've seen in that we've had in quite some time right now. It's absolutely stacked, both men and women's. Women's maybe more so than the men's. Especially with Stephanie and Julia. Obviously, Julia kind of on a bit of a hiatus with an injury and potential visa thing or whatever. But but I mean, then we've got like Cora Jade, you've got Roxanne Perez, we've got Jordan Grace. I mean, the list goes on and on. So I think now is the Sean right there. Sorry, I didn't mean to leave you guys hanging.
Oh, it's all good.
It's all good, man. It's all good.
Just who haven't seen in a while?
Me a little bit. Yeah.
Thea.
Yeah. No, Thea Hale.
We need a Thea come back here.
Yep.
Before too much longer. So that's also not somebody to slack on.
She is somebody that I am worried about because with Duke Hudson being gone, Chase University not being a thing, although maybe it will be again because we kind of keep seeing, and I cannot remember it was a Cale Dixon and that other guy.
Yeah, I can't remember the other guy's name. I feel bad, but yeah,
Uriah
Connors.
Uriah Connors, is it Connors? I don't know.
I honestly don't remember.
But yeah. We did see Brindley Reese was around the NXT Underground ring tonight, and a lot of people confuse her and Thea Hale. So that's the closest thing we've seen to Thea Hale in a while. But all right, let's see what other matches have we not talked about yet. We haven't talked about Carmen Petrovic versus JC Jane. We saw this as a quick match, 4 minutes and 3 seconds. I don't know. I don't really know if we've got a lot to talk about here. Carmen, obviously has this little thing going on with the Shante the Adonis. He was trying to get her to cheat mid-match, gave her a chair. The ref kind of just like watched it rather than not letting it happen. He kind of like let it happen and didn't try to like actually intercept the chair. And then JC Jane just kind of quickly I think it was a roll up, I forget, but JC Jane quickly capitalized on the moment of confusion and the ref not doing his job. I don't know, not a lot really to say about this either.
Wasn't great.
It was a match that kind of, I wouldn't say it wasn't great, but it wasn't a match that really stood out. And I mean, it kind of, I guess, furthered this storyline with Carmen and Ashante, but it's so far down the card that
that's what I mean by like not great. It's not that it was a bad match. It wasn't great.
Yeah. All right. Oh, I keep forgetting to. Usually, what I do, I guess I'll pull back the curtain for everybody. I usually will have Kelly's report. I paste it into a Word document and I delete things as we talk about them, and I haven't been doing that. So now I'm like, crap, what have we not actually talked about yet? D'Angelo family versus the Culling. We finally have a name for Sean Spears' group here, and I want to say they may have actually said the culling last week, and it didn't dawn on me that that was actually their name.
It was
But
in the promo, yeah,
yeah,
or the
yeah.
video package.
So, and I don't think I think they were I think that last week I think that they were talking about, or I think that I thought that they were talking about like culling people from NXT, not necessarily being the name of the faction. And then it clicked this week, and I was like, oh, all right, that makes sense.
Same for me.
Yeah. So this was the match that we got the Major Guns reference in. That I think it was BJ brought up right to start off the show here tonight. But we saw the culling go over 10 minutes, 27 seconds. I mean, I thought this match was a lot. It was a lot better than I was expecting it to be. For these two teams, like, I mean, we've talked so much about the D'Angelo family. Just they're like right there. They're right there, and they need something more to kind of push them over the edge and make them kind of I don't know, I don't want to say a good team, because they are a good team, but to kind of give us a little bit more something to sink our teeth into. I guess that's probably the way to do it. And really the same thing with the culling. The culling obviously being a bit of a newer tag team, or newer stable here, but we don't know a whole lot about them. They're kind of still cryptic. We're still learning about them. Whereas I feel like the D'Angelo family, we're kind of almost at the end of the D'Angelo family. I can see this, between the underboss Stacks and the Dawn kind of, I can kind of see some stuff going on right there where we might end up seeing the family implode before long.
I've been saying that about Grayson Waller and Austin Theory for like 6 months, so who knows?
Yeah, that's true too, right? But still, so that being said, I thought this match was actually a lot better than having the right to be, I guess, or at least in my mind. I say had any right to be, that's mean. I don't want to say that, but at least in my head anyway, like this was a lot better than I was expecting. I'm really, and I say this all the time, but I'm really high on Stacks. I feel like if he can somehow break away from the D'Angelo family and kind of have a bit more of an interesting character than just the underboss and this kind of sidekick, I think there could be something there. He's just such a great talent, but anyway, would like to, very interested to seeing where the culling goes here. Anyway, your thoughts on this match or anything around these guys?
I mean, I'm interested to see where they take this thing with the culling, which I don't love the name, but it could certainly be worse, I suppose.
Yeah.
Banging entrance though, like all the white, the wording into like the NXT. Like
I do like that.
I did really enjoy that. I thought that
I
was
like the visuals.
Good. But yeah, I mean the match was good. Really good energy, really out of everybody. Good sells kind of all around. It's like definitely solid ring work. The culling, I mean, they're still trying to push them as this, super dominant force, and they use them as that opening to bring in was it Dark State. So like it did what it needed to do narratively. It was okay. I am also excited to see what they do with Tony and Stacks, just because I think that could be a really interesting match too. Just purely from the wrestling side, the in-ring side, I think that'll be a really interesting match to watch.
So, let's talk about, oddly enough, my favorite match of the night. Hank Walker and Tank Ledger versus Josh Briggs and Yoshiki Inamura. You want to talk about matches that were better that had any right to be. Wow, this was it. We've talked a lot about like Josh Briggs on the show. I want to say I'm higher on him than Kelly. I haven't done a show with Kelly in so long at this point. I don't even remember. But but Josh, I keep going up and down on Josh Briggs. Um, I love this pairing with him and Yoshiki Inamura. You know, uh, what was I forget what the name of the promotion where he went to go and then he teamed up with Yoshiki Inamura. Somebody will mention it in the chat, I'm sure. I know it's on the tip of my tongue. But ever since the two of them, kind of came together with this pairing in that other promotion, and then brought it back to here to NXT. Noah, Pro Wrestling Noah, thank you, BJF. I knew somebody was going to say it. It was on the tip of my tongue. Appreciate it. But ever since they kind of brought that pairing back to NXT, they've shown that they can be dominant, but they've also shown that they can be funny. I think there's a lot more to do with this tag team than has been done so far. So I really love that, and the action here tonight I thought was off the charts too. These are four huge guys, and they can all move much more fast and much more agile than you would even potentially think they could even be. We saw Hank and Tank trying to be extreme tonight after getting advice from Matt and Jeff last week. That didn't necessarily work out for them, as we saw in this match here tonight. But Inamura hit a big gigantic frog splash at the end of the match for the finish. That was one hell of a splash. He turned himself into a banana in his flight. It was cool. Very pretty splash to get the win there. How do you feel about Inamura and Briggs, and any thoughts on the match?
I really like the pairing. When they first debuted it, I wasn't sure. But they've really been winning me over these last, I don't know, handful of matches they've had. It hasn't been too many. One thing I did write down was there was a really cool spot where I think it was Hank dove into the corner and helped cushion Tank from taking the turnbuckle blow, so that he could then turn around right into a different move. I thought that was really, really cool. It's not something I don't believe I've seen before anyway. And Hank and Tank are robbed.
They did.
I'll fight anyone on that one. Hank and Tank did awesome, and they should have won. But I understand what they're doing with their story, why they didn't win, but they should have won.
Yep. No, I'm 100% in agreement with you. 100% in agreement with you. I think they should have won, but
that's wrestling.
But that's also just me being me. It's just me being I don't know. I just want to see them win. But I understand, again, just as you said, I understand why they didn't. They're obviously they're not the ones being pushed right now. Briggs and Nomura are. So I think pretty good dominant win for them. I would like to see them challenge Fraxium pretty soon.
Yeah,
Briggs and Nomura.
Absolutely, we need that. I think because
if not getting the Hardys involved. Now there are reports of the Hardys fighting through injuries right now. Matt with the deviated septum, and Jeff
with some lower body
lower
injury.
Back. I think that's what it was. Lower body injury is what I read.
I didn't hear anything more specific than that. I'm sure that'll change in the next couple of days.
But if I had to guess, it's his lower back. He's had a lot of lower back issues. Jeff stopped doing the swanton on a lot of shows, and he kind of only busts it out when he needs to. And we've seen him bring out the swanton probably about 4 or 5 times this month. Between NXT, TNA, and then things. So wouldn't be surprised if it's back that's bugging him. But that said, I really would like to see Hank and Tank, or not. Well, I'd love to see Hank and Tank challenge for the titles, but I meant to say Briggs and Nomura challenge for the titles, sooner rather than later. Whether or not they beat Fraxium, I don't know, because every time I fantasy book somebody to beat Fraxium, they don't.
They're kind of unbeatable right now.
Yeah,
which is fun, but also I would like to maybe see something change.
It's funny because I was like that for so long, and right now I'm totally aboard the Fraxium train.
Mm.
I want to see how hard they can go and how long they can go with these titles, but you know that it's they can only go for so long with as dominant tag team champions. So we'll see, but but I'd love to see Briggs and Nomura challenge them and have just one hell of a match with them and Fraxium. Regardless of who wins, I just want to see the match.
Yeah, I feel like a lot of Fraxium's matches in my recent memory, at least, were all against like similarly sized guys. So having them go up against a overall physically larger team, I think, could be fun with as athletic as really all of them are.
Yes.
So that could be a blast, I think.
Hank and Tank or Heavy Machinery 2.0. Which one will be Otis on the main roster? Which one will be Tucker? And then BJ, that was from BJF. Ryan Solario comes in. Tank is Otis. And that's correct.
Yeah,
Tank is
I agree.
definitely Otis.
Hopefully neither of them is Tucker, but
yeah, good fella coming in with poor Tucky. So yep. Tucker. I miss that was such a great tag team, Heavy Machinery. I mean, not that Otis and Otis and all of that have been, but yeah.
They just
anyway,
need to use Alpha Academy more instead of having them in the background filming TikToks all the time, which is funny. But like, please give them some serious matches, especially Maxine. Maxine needs some good matches. She's excellent.
No, she's come such a long way. And I just love her in general. Like,
exactly.
After watching a few interviews with her, she just seems like such an awesome, sweet, and genuine person. So yeah, I'd love seeing.
I want good things for her because she just seems
exactly. All right, let's go ahead. We're gonna bring on Steve in Cleveland. How's it going, Steve?
Hey, good evening, gentlemen. First time, long time, as they say.
Yes. No, good to hear from you. What do you got for us tonight?
Well, I just thought I would drop in. I'm kind of a Sal Ruka mark, and I think this whole, frankly, surfing on the backside thing is she's got to turn heel. I mean, I think that's really the case, and I thought maybe you may have missed an opportunity with that tonight. And I was hoping that she would come out and maybe put her 2 cents in a little bit more viciously, but I still think they're still spinning the wheels a little bit on her. I don't know about your thoughts.
I don't know. I do kind of feel like they're spinning their wheels a little bit with Solruk, and I have for a while. Because I feel like they have a really good character there within Solruka. They've got a great talent within Solruka. But I don't know if they're afraid to pull the trigger because the last time they did, she got hurt and then she was off TV for so long. But I feel like she's on that cusp of breaking through to the next level. Like maybe the North American title scene or NXT title scene, and she just never quite gets there. So yeah, I definitely do agree with you there. Anything, Jobin?
Well, I mean, it'd be good if they could settle on, because like they were pushing her as a singles competitor for so long. He said she, in title pictures, but never really super close. Then they now stick her in a tag team, which has been fun. I know a lot of people don't like it. It's an odd couple kind of thing, which not everyone's down for. But yeah, like do something with her. She's excellent. I love her. Please push her harder. I want to see her win things and not just like get real close to winning, she wins the matches that don't really ultimately matter. And I would like to see that booking change.
It would be nice as far as I'm concerned. Speaking of booking, I think it's just a matter of time before your NXT champion ends up at the main roster. And in my silly fantasy world, I have this thought of basically at WrestleMania. I know it's not going to happen, guys. But at WrestleMania, Cena just beating the pulp out of Cody, and having Oma family run down to make the save, and the roof blowing off the building. Do I think it's going to happen? No, but the roof would blow off the building.
Oh God, I would love to see something like that. I would absolutely love to see something like that. I don't think it would either. Like the chances of that are so slim, but just the visual in my head right now is I like it. I like it. Obafemi can do no wrong.
And I think his real future in the long term, I think he's really a face. I mean, they want to have him kind of a heel, but I just don't see it. I mean, when you've got other wrestlers remarking about the woof and whatnot, it's just it's organic. I mean, it's just was it a moment that we saw Monday night with Cena getting booed out of the building, as it were? No, but I mean, the guy's just I just don't know what he can't do out there. I mean, when he first started, his mic skills were, decent. But again, I love somebody who comes out there and doesn't just yell real loud. I mean, it's not always necessary. You can be intense without, beating up the decibel meter. I mean, the guy's just, I'm such a mark for the guy. I mean, such a mark.
Yeah, no, same. I mean, I don't think, as far as I'm concerned, Obafemi can do no wrong. I think he's going to have, and I think he should have a dominant heel run, and he'll then organically become a massive babyface. We've kind of even seen that in NXT. I mean, they started to push him as a heel, and he just was so charismatic and kind of so over that he's just kind of organically become a babyface. So I think that I think that's where I'd like to see him land, and first probably as a heel, but I think everybody's going to love him so much as a heel that he's just going to be become that beloved heel that eventually everybody winds up cheering. Obafemi for the save at WrestleMania. I'm down.
No way. And I appreciate you guys giving me a few minutes here. It's good to get on the video for once. I will tell you this: the possibility of Trick Williams getting that belt back, I don't see it. I don't see it happening. I'm surprised they haven't called him up yet. But did we maybe see a little bit of a foreshadowing of who might take the belt off Obafemi when he got dropped near the end of that scrum?
Who dropped him? I don't know. I don't remember. Was it Jobin that dropped him?
Yep.
Okay. There was a lot going on. I didn't go back and watch it, but I don't know. I think taking that just at face value, and I think it was Ryan Solario brought up, and if it wasn't Ryan, it was somebody else. I apologize if I'm not remembering correctly, but earlier in the night, somebody brought up potential for a triple threat at Stand and Deliver, and I'm thinking maybe that's where we might be going. But if it was Javon Evans that dethroned Obafemi somehow, I really want to see that match, and I'm very curious to see how that would play out. But I wouldn't be upset about it. Especially after tonight with Trick saying to Javon, you'll never become champion. You're not, that's not you. And then he goes on and proves Trick wrong and takes down the beast Obafemi. I mean, that's a pretty cool story.
King right in the mouth, which is awesome.
Oh yeah, he did, didn't he? That was great. Left jab right to the mouth there.
It was a sad left jab though.
It wasn't an awesome punch, but the spot was good.
Yeah. Alexis probably sold that a little too much, but that's okay. That's okay. No.
Absolutely. Hey guys, one last thing.
Sure.
I mean, frankly, it's looking like Chelsea Green's title becomes one that kind of bounces from brand to brand to brand. I mean, I guess I was kind of happy to see that Alba Fire, at the very worst, she's now a lackey for Chelsea Green, the cabinet, which is not maybe a bad thing if you want to play up that political whatever, love me, I'll kiss the babies. But at some point, I would hope that you'd maybe get her and Piper to maybe work for those tag team titles at some point. Your thoughts?
I'd be down with that. If they're going to keep Alba Fire there in that little world there, then sure, may as well. Have them go for the women's tag titles, and I think that could be that could make for some fun and entertaining TV. From what I've seen with Alba Fire, in this gimmick right now, it is fun and it is entertaining. but man, I loved Alba Fire as her the older character, or even as Kaylee Ray.
UK, she was great.
Yeah, the Kaylee Ray in NXT UK, and and kind of the iteration of Alba Fire up, with Isla Dawn up until Isla Dawn got released. For me, just seeing her in this more of a comedic role just feels like such a downgrade, and I think she could do so much more than what she's doing. That said, it's still entertaining, and I think she's making the best out of the situation. And hell, maybe she's having a blast. I don't know, but yeah, I want to see more for Alba Fire. Jobin, anything on that?
See, I just want to see them bring in the secret third member of the cabinet, because we have Piper Niven and we have Alba Fire.
It's got to be somebody from the UK, right?
Well,
no, they gotta go back and bring in Orlando Jordan from JBL's cabinet,
or they bring in Drew McIntyre, so that you can fill out all the Scottish people in one stable.
Oh yeah. Nikki Cross.
We'll get her. Yeah. I mean, I know she's like, in
Joe Hendry.
So we'll get her too. It's fine.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, overall, it's fun. We'll see what they do with it, how long they keep this together, and whether she ends up staying with them long term. But it's fine for now.
BJF or Grado.
Well, guys, I appreciate it very much. Keep up the great shows. I hope to talk to you again soon.
All right. Thanks, Steve. Appreciate it.
Good night, Steve.
Take care. All right. And with that, I think that's going to take us to the end of our show. I'm Nate Lindberg. You can check the things I do out at natelindberg.com. Jobin, appreciate 2 weeks in a row you jumping in and helping out. Thanks to everybody. It was good chatting with everybody. Long time. So, like I said, we haven't been doing the call-in format here on PWT Talks NXT for quite some time. So I don't know. I'm going to make the executive decision, say we're going to do this every once in a while, but it's really up to Kelly, I guess. I don't know. Maybe he and I make decisions together. I don't really know. He's been here longer than me. No, Kelly's doing just fine. Kelly was on a long work trip this week, and just needed a night to hang out with his brother. So nothing wrong with Kelly. Kelly's just taking some time off. I will not be here next week. Next week is my birthday, and I'm going out with my girlfriend. So we're doing that. So Kelly will be here next week with a co-host. He'll figure that out, because I have to figure it out when Kelly's not here. So, make you do it, Kelly. And Kelly, we'll see you in 7. Take care.